Hi, I'm Umair, and I welcome you for another session of Startup Stories with UJ. Today I have Muez from Grandeur Tech with me. So let's hear about their journey, their story so far. So welcome Muez on the show.
Thank you so much, Umair, for having us. It's an honor, totally, to be here. Yes.
So why don't you start? Tell me about your startup, about your team, anything.
Yeah, I think let's start with the sort of like what we're doing in a short sentence, एक sentence के अंदर what we're doing. So Grandeur is like Heroku of IoT, and we have this vision that we want to build the AWS of IoT, or we want to do
What is
IoT.
that?
So it's in the sense कि अगर आप if you look at the IoT spectrum today, you'll look at it and you'll feel कि जितने भी devices हैं, for example, if you're like a smart home user, you will feel this, that they feel very crappy. The user experience is generally very crappy. It don't feel like polished. Just it will remind you of the early days of internet. And we try to inspect and debug this problem because we engineers, okay, what's happening and why it is happening, and we figured out okay, it's happening because engineers, when they're building smart home products or smart connected products, they just have to deal with a lot of technology stack. They're just like always in the building phase. You just need like 6-7 months to just build your first version of prototype. You need hardware engineers in your team, you need backend developers in your team, and you need app developers in your team. So it's just like a massive engineering problem, massive cost problem. So we are doing to IoT what AWS did to internet. We believe sort of like, and it's actually a wider truth, okay, what AWS did to internet is just massive. AWS made internet more accessible to companies. Now you don't need to spend like millions of dollars to just build your own data center.
Well, infrastructure or scalable services.
Bilkul. So like, for example, without AWS, Uber wouldn't be possible because वो वाली problem solve करते हैं, वो वाली problem solve करते हैं. Infrastructure management is a big deal. So this is what we're doing to IoT. So we're saying you don't need to manage your backend. You don't need backend engineers in your team. You don't need app developers in your team. Just code your hardware at the early phase. Use our platform. We're going to take care of the communication, data consumption, and everything, data storage. You just scale, just build your product, just go to your customers. Just iterate as quickly as possible. Or uske baad, when you're ready, build your own custom application. You know, so we like an API, we like a Firebase sort of like product. So
okay, so great intro, and we'll come back to that.
Sure.
So tell us more about your team, your co-founders.
Yeah, so it's actually, I love this topic because I think that's what we are. So हम लोगों ने Grandeur start की थी from like 2019. We started as a project from university. So all of us are like UET. So I'm actually I'm an electrical engineer. So my UET से graduated in 2019.
Okay.
So Grandeur was started from UET dorm. तो यूनिवर्सिटी के हॉस्टल से, एंड वी लाइक फ्रेंड्स. वन ऑफ माई like 3 co-founders, और अब हम लोग भी team of 4. So one of my co-founders, he's my childhood friend. We know each other since like 9-10 class, बल्कि उससे भी पहले से. So we just discovered, in fact, that we also sort of like our mothers were friends. So अब पता चला हमें, discovered it through like a strange, like a different story. And the other co-founder, he was with me. हम लोग यूनिवर्सिटी में साथ थे. हम लोग सारे projects इकट्ठे करते थे. We used to. So this also started like a project, and we felt like we can do something bigger. We can do something more massive. And with the crazy kids in the town, so we're like, let's go for it. Let's do it. So that's the core definition of Grandeur. We just do it. We don't think a lot.
So you're Firebase, you're AWS, and you're also Nike. We just do it kind of.
We're Firebase. We are aiming to become AWS.
Okay.
The philosophy is that AWS of IoT will look differently from AWS of internet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talking more about founders, and I mean, you were a university kind of students 2019 back, or even in COVID. So while graduating, and I'm sure your co-founders are the same. Were they your batchmates?
No, batchmates say, yeah.
As a batchmate.
My co-founder was my batchmate. Other co-founder batchmates. We were electrical engineers, same batch, same class.
Okay. So right after your graduation, didn't your kind of family pushed you get married, get a job?
बहुत मुश्किल था. It was enormous pressure. So बहुत ज़्यादा pressure था initially, not just on me, for everybody.
For marriage or for getting a job?
Marriage तो. So they're like my mom. अब मुझे मेरी अम्मी कहती हैं, so this was the last aspect of my mom. अब तुम शादी कर लो, शायद तुम उससे सुधर जाओ, शायद उससे बेहतर हो जाओ. But उनका aspect यही था. So my Abba, he is a government officer, so he wanted me to be an SDO. इसलिए he wanted me to pursue sort of like electrical engineer. बल्कि मुझे electrical engineer भी नहीं बनना चाहते थे. So he's from civil background, so he wanted me to be a civil engineer. And I think same expectation is from my co-founders then. So my parents' expectations were very simple. In fact, मेरी mom की expectation बहुत simple थी कि मैं graduate हूँ, एक अच्छी कंपनी में नौकरी करूँ, not even in fact SDO, एक अच्छी सी गाड़ी लूँ और उस गाड़ी के अंदर अपने स्कूल में जा सके. So my mom is also a teacher. So ये इनकी expectation थी, वो अपनी community को दिखा सकें. You know, so it's like I'm like second engineer of my family. तो बड़ी simple सी expectations थी. So when we did this, so it was kind of like shocking for everybody. कि ये क्या हुआ है? I have nobody in our family is like associated with business in any fashion. So it was scary for them. And of course we can understand. Yeah.
ऐसे होता है. मेरे साथ भी लोगों ने कहा था यार तुमने इतना पढ़ लिख लिया, कोई तुम्हें तो किसी बैंक में भी जॉब मिल जाती. So you could have been doing it.
पर खैर after some time, so मेरी अभी भी मेरे अब्बा के साथ call है like board meetings. अच्छा, so how many more people have you hired? कितनी सैलरी दे रहे हो उन लोगों को? It's interesting. तो वो बोर्ड मीटिंग्स में जब पहली दफ़ा जाके बैठे तो it wasn't strange for me, क्योंकि वो बोर्ड मीटिंग मेरी रोज़ हो रही थी घर में शाम वाली कॉल के ऊपर. तो it was chill. तो ये था, but it's I think it's a good thing for our ecosystem, मतलब us as a journal.
So do you see it as a kind of a problem because we have a lot of social pressures in the families that your co-founders, you guys can sustain it and stick around?
Yeah, it's a
because
big
startup
barrier.
is a tough business.
It's like just another variable that you have to tackle.
Okay.
It can become better, but I think it's a generic truth. I think NVIDIA के founder, it's a very famous story that her mom was used to say कि तुम gamers के लिए क्या बना रही हो, never going to be sort of like successful, and now it's turned out to be like a multi-billion-dollar company. So I think parents get a little bit scared, specifically when they don't have a background in that journey. My parents don't have a background in engineering, so it was a little bit scary for them to send kid to like a remote place, Lahore भेजें. So I'm not from Lahore, so it was scary. But then further, एक और ambition आगे जाना, which is
so
like.
were you guys were the high GPA guys of the batch, nerds or what?
बिल्कुल भी नहीं ऐसे नहीं.
Or the ones
diversity है. Well, actually, लोग 3 के ऊपर वाले हैं, but 3.5 वाले नहीं हैं. We don't have that kind of. इतने intelligent नहीं थे.
तो वो 3.5, 3.8 वाले क्या कर रहे हैं?
They did good. I think मेरे सारे batch वाले people are very lucky.
So what brought you to the IoT? Why IoT? So there were gazillions of things that you could have done.
Science fiction. I think.
What's science fiction about it?
So this thing happened in, I think, first time जब Iron Man 1 देखी थी. So I got to see Iron Man 1 in 2010, I guess. किसी ने दिखाई थी, one of my uncle का movie देखा, it's very awesome. And we realized कि अच्छा, so this is not a magic anymore. You can actually, so I'm the lazy kind of guy, so actually you can control your home lights. You can issue, you can talk to some. It sounds magical. So it sounded magical. So we thought कि okay, कुछ सोचते हैं, कुछ करते हैं, and then so actually in fact I sort of like also written a paper. So उस time पे Microsoft Imagine just started in Pakistan. शायद अब जानते 2015 में Microsoft Imagine कब was started. So I pitched this idea. I was sort of like a programmer. So I pitched this idea how you can control your home appliances with this computer. Definitely तब मुझे अंदाज़ा नहीं था कि this is actually doable. तब it sounded like it's a rocket, sort of like rocket science. But when we got into the engineering, तो पता चला कि this is actually doable. So this thing was already there. We wanted to make our home smart. फिर पता चला कि Google Home and Alexa product are there. So we figured out कि we can't buy those products, but we can build our own product. हम कुछ खुद build कर सकते हैं. So this is where it started. We built it in lab. Just started out of curiosity. Just wanted to do it for our own self. But आहिस्ता आहिस्ता पता चला कि this is a wider problem. This is going to be a future trend. And what's possible.
So when did you actually realize that there's an opportunity out there? Because if you look at the Googles and Amazons of the world, and if they can build AWS, they can obviously build something similar for IoT and very quickly, and probably they have a lot more resources. So when did you really feel that?
These are very interesting moments. I think not your career-defining moments, but your life-defining moments. So for us, the first moment happened when we presented our smart home product at the startup Lahore, and a couple of other events, and we figured out that it's not a project anymore. People actually need it, People want to buy Amazon Alexa, people want to buy Google Home products, but it's not just feasible for them from the cost point. Not feasible for them because it's not available in Pakistan. So we thought we can actually make it possible. But जब उस journey में गए, so we figured out, we realized about the problem. और वहाँ से हमें पता चला कि it's not just about us. There are many other people who want to build such products, जो कि innovative ideas के ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं, but it's not just possible for them. They're still in their labs, they're struggling in their labs, they're building products, just like iterating, manufacturing के problem solve कर रहे हैं. So this was a journey. I think we went through many pivots. From product perspective, उसके बाद from the company perspective, we went through major pivots.
And eventually you landed up on
this, where we realized कि so this happens कि when you actually see कि लोग इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं तुम्हारी product and you're adding some kind of value to people's life.
So for non-tech,
that changes the brain.
Non-tech guy, I mean, we can take a meaning out of Firebase, but what actually it is in terms of what are you doing for IoT? I mean, what is really the
you
product?
Can imagine
it will make the development easier, development
easier.
Development, or what?
So it's simple. If you're like a manager, you're like an MBA guy or a simple person, like a normal human being. So आपके लिए इसकी simple definition ऐसे है, like we're gonna make the magic happen. Your team will just work on the hardware, and your team is expert at the hardware. और उसके अलावा जो भी है, the magic, how the data.
So for hardware guys, you are coming in the middle, and then they can.
We're saying we're gonna take care of the magic. You just build what you're really good at. Just integrate our libraries into your code.
And then
very simple. It's a plugin. Just drop our plugin into your code, and you won't even need to think about.
So if I'm a bulb manufacturer, or I'm a cooler manufacturer, or fan manufacturer, whatever, she'll come to me and tell me that, hey Omer, you can install this SDK or whatever of yours into my firmware or whatever, and then I can make these devices.
And in fact, we're thinking about going a step further. A phase, जहाँ पे server, you just need to install a processor, just put that module in your hardware. This is possible in IoT. You just need to put a processor, change your processor, to everything else will be automated.
Sure.
Your people won't have to even customize anything. Bare minimum, you can just build firmware. So if you're already building a firmware in your company, जो कि normally सभी कर रहे होते हैं, all the hardware manufacturers are doing it. So you can use our platform, and we're gonna make the magic happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And while you look startups around you, especially over this space, you'll find they're solving a lot of time business and other problems like commuting problem, like taking grocery to the market, like ed tech, etc. So did it kind of you felt a little scared or whatever that you're building a pure kind of a tech product? Actually, it does not have
it sort of like motivates us now.
Okay.
We're a little bit early in the journey. So I remember हम लोगों ने जब actually में start किया था, really when we launched और हमने ये back-end product और एक strongly, तो पाकिस्तान की market is still ripe for B2B companies.
Right.
There are very less B2B companies, more and more B2B commerce और इस तरह की companies हैं.
Yeah.
So it's still very ripe for B2B, and we are like B2D, which is a step further. So even US markets are a little bit sometimes skeptical about
what is
B2D product. Business to developers. So
business to developers.
we're not selling to businesses, we're selling to developers.
Okay.
People who eventually want to use our product. So it's very new for Pakistan. This is why it sort of like drives us. It's new. Let's do it. It's more challenging. US के अंदर there are a lot of examples. So let's do it in Pakistan. Let's scale in Pakistan. That's sort of like what drives us. अब तो खैर Pakistan की ecosystem is very sort of like going to the next phase. So I remember first time we met Junaid Chaudhary. So he is sort of like leading, I think, Cream or Uber in Pakistan, engineering end. So he was like, so I sort of like vented on LinkedIn, why Pakistani people don't understand B2D or B2B market. So I was like, at this stage, so for any ecosystem, first of all, B2C happens.
Yep.
और फिर उसके बाद when B2C company scales, the problems generate होती हैं जहाँ पे they need other companies, B2B companies, जो कि then the B2B companies eventually run the show behind the doors. So from the journey point of view, we're at the right stage. It's good to start early. You get to learn more, a lot more quicker. जल्दी में आपको एक और companies नहीं मिलेंगी. You won't be able to like get a lot more scale very quickly, but you're able to build a product जो कि तैयार होगी when people need it.
Okay, so help me understand the nomenclature of a tech company like yours. I mean, normally for a B2C or a B2B ideas, you typically have someone doing the business functions, raising, marketing, and then there's a CTO doing all the tech stuff. You guys are all tech, so who's doing the kind of raising, business part, marketing part?
This is where we sort of like made a smart decision. We thought, business guys, we're not gonna actually make a sale to business guys.
Okay.
We're gonna go and sell it to developers.
So you want to be...
Interesting element is you can't market to developers. Okay. Developers hate marketing. Okay? So what we're doing is we're just being ourselves. When we learned about IoT, we learned through communities. So communities are like forums or Reddit groups, where people just talk about their problems. So हम वहाँ पे, when they're talking about their problems, हम वहाँ पे अपना solution present करते हैं. So it's very organic. We're not doing marketing. So it's like developer marketing is the toughest sort of like job. You have to market, but in a way, you just put the word out there, not to sort of like sell it. Developers hate selling and developers hate marketing. And we have a really interesting thesis about it. Why we're going for developers? Because we believe, not actually we believe, it's a general market belief. So we want engineers to fall in love with this product because so we have this bottoms up strategy. We're saying nahi, instead going to a manager and pushing this product, try to push, instead of like pushing this product from the top, कि उसके engineers इस्तेमाल करें इस product को, instead let's go and talk to people who are eventually going to use this product.
So engineers will make a demand that I need this.
Totally. So actually, this conversation started with one of the advisors, Ali Zahid. So he started his startup, which was Y Combinator bike startup. It was called, they really missed the name, but it was a smart bike startup. So I asked him, it was our first conversation, I asked him that in 2020 or 2015 or 16, when you actually started this startup, would you be like using us agar hum us time pe hote? So it was like, yeah, if my engineers is coming to me and is going to say, I want to use this product, मैं ये product इस्तेमाल करना चाहता हूँ, so मैं उससे एक बहुत simple सवाल पूछूंगा. मैं उससे पूछूंगा कि can it save me time, and it can save me money. If my engineer is going to reply me कि yes, it can save you time and it can save you money, so I'll be like, just go with it. I don't care. I care about going to market quicker. I care about selling the product. I mean, that's the ideology of the managers, generally in all size of companies. So it's like we're using like, so it's like Paul Graham once sort of like said, there's no hack to product market fit. There's no shortcut to product market fit, but there is a hack if the founders are also the consumers of the product.
Right.
So we have been through this journey and we understand what motivates other, or like a developer. हमारे decision making बहुत simple है. जब भी हम एक नया feature add करते हैं, we talk about adding a new service. So we just think about it from our own perspective कि क्या हम use करते इसे.
That's pretty nicely, a very nice way of putting it, because in our company we also
have a advantage, sort of like unfair advantage, I don't know. So if you're consuming your own wine, so in fact,
so I would second that, because in our company we will also try to make products, and the very first product that we think are the ones the tools that we need every single day. If we are using them, then there must be several others who's going to use them. So I think it's a very interesting and right take.
When some product is going to be building block of your product. So nobody told us about Heroku. I mean, some developer told us about Heroku. ये use करो तुम्हारी जिंदगी आसान हो जाएगी. I'm like, let's just go for it.
So who were your early backers or supporters, or who helped you in the journey?
Our journey has been entirely about sort of like pivots. So I remember, so the first customer sort of like who paid and evangelized us, you always need a moat. So वो Numan Zafar साहब थे, I think everybody.
Numan Zafar was my teacher.
हमारे circle में everybody knows Numan Zafar. So he was our first evangelist. We met him at an event. तब हम लोग अभी IoT home products के ऊपर ही काम कर रहे थे, and we were really good at software part. So he's like, you need money for the hardware. I need people who could do my software because I have good backers and I'm doing really good hardware. I'm very experienced in hardware specifically at this point. So come over, let's just do something together. And Grandeur was born, this current product was born from that journey. So जब हम लोग product route के ऊपर आने लगे, we told him that we're doing a self-service sort of like product now. It's gonna be usable just the way you use AWS now. So it was like, so take this money and build it. So Numan Saab was the first backer in the sense. जब हम लोग, we were taking this product route. So it was like, okay, not only I'm going to be your first sort of like customer, मेरी ज़िंदगी थोड़ी आसान हो जाएगी. I don't need to manage these back-end guys in the team जो तुमने मुझे दे दिए. But I'm also gonna make your introductions with the product people in my universe. people that I believe these are the best people. Or wahi se we met Abbas and other people around the circle. So this is the journey. We've been very, very pivoting, iterating.
So for funding वगैरह stages क्या है, कहाँ पे हो, where you are with your funding and everything?
अभी तो sort of like we have just closed our pre-seed / angel round. We call it an angel round because इसका मकसद ही angel investors को लेके आना था, and we have a lot of angel investors. All the angel investors, उन्होंने sort of like collaborated and filled up this round.
Were you picky about who you want to get in the round, or
you were just we started with a little bit. We were sort of like picky. We wanted कि ऐसे लोग आएं जो कि product development के अंदर they're very cool, and they can help us in sort of like polishing our go-to-market, just polishing our किस तरह how to sort of like sell to developers, people who understand this market, people who could just help us in sort of like hiring, which is like a very tricky part in the early stages.
Right.
So, but fortunately, ऐसे हुआ कि everybody is in our circle is very awesome. So we got to this point where it was very difficult for us to actually say किसको रखना है, किसको drop करना है, but fortunately, everybody is in our space is very cool at this stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so now that you have closed your angel round, what is kind of your next 1 or 2 quarters? What are your ambitions? क्या कर रहे हो?
सबसे पहले तो जो the journey so far has been really entirely about कि हम just to understand this, to validate the problem, and now at this stage where we have some initial users, so we can call that we have the initial moat. And now we about crossing the chasm, so we have to cross the chasm. So we have early adopters on the platform. Now we want to get to our first early majority. So ये अगले 2 rounds का, अगले 2 quarters का sort of like our goal. So we want to be the best sort of like, so अभी in the next 2 quarters, when I come out, when I say कि ना सिर्फ अब हमारे पास early adopters हैं, बल्कि there are people who are using this platform in production and they're scaling. So the whole point of this journey is to map the journey. So first point was understanding कि users क्या हैं, idea क्या है. The second point was mapping the journey, वो users कहाँ से रहे हैं, where are these people coming from. And the third point in this journey is to get more and more people over and over again. And 4th point, जिस पे हम we're attacking, is just like making them fall in love with your product. So this is the target for next.
So you were telling me offline that you are trying to go to a potentially incubator. Tell us more about that.
We are actually part of Alchemist Accelerator.
Okay.
So it's like a B2B accelerator based out of US. Pakistani ecosystem has already some companies who's been through Alchemist. So it's like a Y Combinator but for B2B startup.
So yeah, so tell me more about this. Why is it going to be a big deal to go to
It's like a natural habitat. So most of the companies of Alchemist can be our customers. So you can get to the people who actually need your product. So this is why we sort of like went for this choice.
So for the sake of understanding and for the sake of helping other startups, help us understand what it takes to get into Alchemist, and once you graduate from there, what does
I think for pre-seed round or angel round or getting to Alchemist, it's like similar equation. Or stage तक पहुंचने के लिए you need to have this your moat. So you need to have validation of your problem. You need to have some early users जो कि आपको पे कर रहे हैं, and then you need to have people जो कि आपके सर्कल से नहीं, आपके फ्रेंड सर्कल से नहीं हो, बल्कि वो बाहर वाले सर्कल से हों. From a journal perspective, journal audience. So you need to have your product, and you need to have some kind of recurring process of getting customer or some idea of getting process.
Okay.
But it's different. It varies. I know some people जो Alchemist में इस साल मेरे बैच से हैं, they're doing material sciences के ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं, they're producing reusable plastic, biodegradable plastic. So you can't have all these credentials in this kind of startup. उस तरह की startup में just coming out of Alchemist as a product, with a product is a big deal, or with the idea validation is a big deal. So it varies, but for journally, this is the bar that you have to meet.
So Alchemist Accelerator is going to happen in a couple of quarters from now?
It's a 6 months long program. It's an awesome program. If you're a B2B company, it's your ideal space.
So
Y Combinator helps a lot, but Y Combinator is for generically every company. But अगर हम उसको, if you just like rip it down, Y Combinator is mostly meant for B2C company or SaaS companies. So if you're like doing something really crazy, if you're building rockets, go to Alchemist.
So you expect to graduate out of Alchemist by mid of 2021?
Yeah, January. Yeah, this January, coming January.
coming January you'll graduate or you'll?
बिल्कुल हम graduate हो जाएंगे.
अच्छा graduate.
We start the program started in sort of like last month.
So right now it's all virtual, right?
बिल्कुल totally.
Okay.
Totally virtual, but you can meet your coaches in person.
Okay. So right now, where is your product in terms of users, etc., adoption, and in terms of product development? What is your roadmap?
Last 2 months, 3 months has been really transformational for us. So it's like it happens with founders all time, not just with the startup. So with every 6 months, you feel like we're just getting started. So it's like a wider sort of like a truth in startup world. कि फाउंडर्स हर 6 महीने बाद कहते हैं अब जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप हुई है वो 6 महीने पहले तो कहीं भी नहीं थी अंडरस्टैंडिंग.
अगर वो ये ना कहें तो फिर बड़ा मसला है.
सॉरी
अगर वो ये ना कहें तब भी मसला है because that's how it is.
So यहाँ पे हम पहुँचे हैं अब जहाँ पे अब हमें बेहतर कॉन्टेक्स्ट है कि हम आगे कहाँ जा रहे हैं. So we started as a backend as a service platform, sort of like Heroku, but now we have even more crazy idea based on all the feedback that we have got. अब हमारा idea ये है कि we have to build an IDE of IoT. So it's like a step further. We're thinking about a future where entire product development in IoT will happen.
But don't you think once you get into something, you feel there's an opportunity here, and you have to pick a few?
That's where you have to iterate really quickly. I think ये model है that everybody is following, all the companies. Like for example, Airlift is a big story. They pivoted really fast. अगर उसे big stories के aspect में देखें, but under the hood, in the smaller companies, in like early phases, iteration is very fast.
Okay.
It's meant product market fit is about iterating your product as far as possible.
Right.
So you have to check all the probabilities.
So
you
where do you see?
आपको बहकना नहीं है. You don't have to like sort of like go stray with it. But you have to test your ideas. It's super important at this stage to iterate quickly.
So where do you see yourself by let's say end of 2020? 2022, sorry.
2021. So we want the stage. So Replit, if you don't know this platform, check it out. It's awesome.
Which one?
Replit.
Okay.
It's awesome. We want to be somewhere close to Replit, 10 plus close to Replit. So it's like we want some people जो कि कुर्बान हो जाएं हमारे product के लिए. Like people who could just like could do anything for our product. ये बहुत बड़े goal है. People who could just go to communities and can fight for us. So one of the most interesting thing about developer communities is that developers never lie to other developers. So we want to get to this stage by the end of 2020 जहाँ पे लोग हमारे लड़ रहे हो community में. It's a big goal. It's a very big goal. अगर हमने यहाँ तक पहुँच गए, so I'll be like the most happiest person in the entire universe.
Okay, chalo.
Yeah.
This all sounds good, and we wish you real luck.
Thank you so much.
All the best wishes for that. And I'm really happy to see people like you and other graduates getting out of the university and starting these startups, and especially pure tech-oriented startups. So I think that's a great sign.
And the crux of the matter is to believe in your sort of like ambitions and go crazy. If you want to start a rocket startup, start it.
Okay, sounds good. So if you want to start a rocket, start building it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really chill.
So this is that is Moez with me about talking about his startups. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you very much till we come up with the next episode.